Hello and welcome to the Career Compass program, which includes online learning sessions, podcasts, videos, webinars, white papers, and whiteboard videos, all specifically designed for NAVFAC. Please check the Career Compass Resource Center or CCRC often for updates and new content to support your learning. This content will assist with learning and development within the 20 non-technical competencies outlined in the Workforce Development Strategy. Today's topic is From Avoidance to Ownership in support of the accountability competency. Traditionally, when we think of accountability, we think being blamed is the same as being held to account. This creates a culture where more energy is spent on avoiding blame than getting anything done. When this happens, we need to change our focus from identifying blame after the fact to proactively taking ownership of the results at the beginning of the process. This shifts the difference between being empowered as an owner versus identifying as a victim. This is true for personal goals as well as for getting results at work. This shift in mindset can change everything because when we approach anything as an owner, we take it on with a deeper sense of pride and responsibility. It's not hard to recognize when you encounter a culture based on blame. In these situations, we often find ourselves getting frustrated. Think of the last time that you encountered a culture where others did not take personal accountability for what is happening around them. It could have been in a store, at a restaurant, or it could have even been at work. No matter where it was, when there is a culture where people are not taking personal accountability, we can see and hear it right away. Studies show that in organizations where there are low levels of personal accountability, there are also low levels of workforce engagement and little regard for results. In conversations, we hear a lot of judgment about others and the organization, and there is a lack of trust. This culture can be measured in low production and quality metrics, as well as with high absenteeism and attrition. When we create a culture that does not support taking personal accountability, what we create is a culture that is based upon fear and blame. In this type of culture, we usually see 6 common behaviors and hear some common excuses. The first is denial. Even when things are not working and falling apart, we hear, "I don't see a problem," or "It's really no big deal." The ability to ignore and even deny that there are problems allows avoiding accountability. The second is just going through the motions or acting with no intention or meaning. When this behavior is called out, the response is a simple, "I don't know." The lack of presence of mind or intention behind action is really avoiding accountability by simply drifting along. The third behavior we encounter is to create cover. This marks a slight shift in tactics from the previous 2, which were more passively avoiding, to actively shifting blame to somewhere else. When creating cover for oneself, there is effort put into creating an appearance where one can have no ownership of the results achieved. We often hear something like, "I don't know what is going on over there, I'm just trying to do my job, and I'm keeping my head down." Simply doing one's job is the excuse for taking ownership of the results achieved. Next, we have blaming others. This is finger-pointing to shift blame to someone else or some situation outside of our control. "I would have had my project completed, but I am waiting on the other group to get me the data." Or, "I would have been here on time, but there was a backup on the bridge." The key here is to make sure that when offering an excuse, you are seen as a victim of others or events outside of your control. Ducking accountability is another way of deflecting accountability. "I would really like to help, but that is outside my area of control." Or, in other words, "It's not my job." The final behavior that we see when we encounter a culture that lacks personal accountability is confusion. This is a favorite tactic during times of change. "Everything keeps changing. I don't understand, so I will just wait until someone tells me directly exactly what to do. That way, I cannot get blamed for doing the wrong thing." Often, confusion is the excuse for doing nothing. When working to shift away from a blame culture, focus on shifting individual mindsets and start with your own. Here are 4 steps to follow for taking personal accountability. The first step is to see what is going on and what needs to change. Personal accountability is about taking ownership of a result. So if you are seeing a result that you do not like, start there. Understand though, once you recognize something you do not like, you cannot unsee it. The second is to challenge the status quo. Identify what is creating this result that you want to change. Is this the result of a work process, a culture of how we interact and treat one another, or the result of existing policies? When looking into what is creating this result, do not overlook your role in creating this situation. This can be uncomfortable and sometimes painful, but if you really want to deliver new results, you must be honest about your role in creating the situation. When deciding on what to change, it is useful to make a list of all the factors creating the result you want to change, then separate that list into two. One list of all the things you can control, and one that is a list of things outside of your control. The third step is to innovate, with the new result identified and a list of items that are creating the current situation. Come up with a plan to bring about the change you want. The key here is to focus on items that are in your control, as this is where you have most influence and power. The fourth and final step is to take action. This is what it all comes down to. Everything you have done to this point is only an academic exercise until you put your plan into action. While these 4 steps are simple, they can be difficult to follow, so here are a few things to keep in mind. Changing culture is hard, so be patient with yourself. Start with a small change and keep at it. Eventually, others will recognize the shift in you and will start to join you in working towards getting a new result. Attitudes are contagious, so make sure you maintain a positive attitude. Do not preach or talk about taking personal accountability. Simply start doing it. Actions always speak louder than words. Be ready to talk about what and why you are trying to bring about a new result. Change can be scary for some people, even change that is needed, so you may be called out or asked about what you are doing. Be ready to explain what you are doing and why it is important. It's the why that others are going to relate to. It helps to have others join you in this process, either as a team implementing a change or working with a partner who will help to hold you accountable for what you are trying to accomplish. Remember the 4 steps for making the shift from avoiding personal accountability to ownership. 1. See what is going on. 2. Challenge the status quo. 3. Innovate. And 4. Take action. Thank you for watching this whiteboard video. We hope that you gleaned useful and helpful information. If you have any questions, please contact your local civilian training advocate or contact HQ's BD17 at NAVFAC HQ, Total Force Development at Navy.mil.